heartiest congratulations to SABERA on the 6th edition.
Next time, let's have an all-women team so that more people can get attached to it and the impact will become bigger.
To be able to actually see cross-collaboration.
They could really benefit a lot from the SABERA's network on the innovation and philanthropic model.
We've had very large organizations, Maharatna PSUs, actually come up on stage and say this.
You're amazing. You're just amazing.
Thanks to SABERA, and they've been supporting them over the years.
A very warm welcome to yet another episode of Social Impact Leaders Simply with Suparnaa. Our focus, of course, is on SABERA awardees, and we also have a very dynamic young lady who's with us, who has been awarded in the Gender, Diversity, Equity and Inclusion category of SABERA 2023. But before I bring her on to the platform, I'd like to start by invoking the higher power. Shakti has held me in good stead, and we will start by invoking Goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, the goddess of wisdom, to dispel the darkness of ignorance that resides in our hearts with the light of knowledge. Ya kundendu tusharahara dhavala, Ya Shubhra Vastravrita, Ya Veena Varadanda Manditakara, Ya Shweta Padamasana, Ya Brahmachitta Shankar Prabhutibhi, Devai Sada Vandita, Samam Patu Saraswati, Bhagavati Nishesh, Jadyapaha. And without much further ado, let me invite on stage Jyotika Dhawan. A little bit of an introduction for Jyotika. She is the CEO and founder for Helix. Her commitment to fostering equal opportunities and gender equality has also led her to establish We Diversify, a diversity collaborative that focuses on creating a more inclusive environment in breaking barriers. The organization has been committed to creating, diverse, inclusive, and equitable society. We will get to know a little bit more about what We Diversify does. But Jyotika herself has also been committed as an HR professional in hiring, girls with maybe disabilities from underprivileged backgrounds, the LGBTQI community, to participate fully and freely in the economy. She also has co-founded an organization called Orion along with her husband. It's a philanthropic venture. It was born about 5 years back and is a platform for societal consciousness, as we'd like to call it, integrating happiness with success. Now, that is an interesting mix, and we'll get to know all about the ventures that Jyotika is doing. Thank you so much. First, let me welcome you on board, Jyotika, and thank you. And congratulations one more time for being acknowledged by the SABERA jury through 2023 with your work in making the world a little more inclusive, a little more better. Thank you, Jyotika.
Thank you, Suparna, and I have known you for years. At the onset, I've always, like they say in there's a book called Many Lives, Many Masters, and I think there is a connect. I've seen, of course, I've known you as a professional before you started this venture, and I'm so excited to collaborate with you on this. I remember when we started, when you started these awards. The first year, I got an appreciation certificate for the effort that I was putting in. And you were on stage, and I came. I was down, and I was on the seats where the seats were, and I came to you and I said, in a couple of years, I will get this award, Suparna, because people like you are recognizing people like me, and it motivates us, to do a little more and put our work out there so that many more can get inspired. I don't think I'm doing personally, our organization is doing, a lot of people are doing phenomenal work. We are very, very, very small. Yet I feel that somebody like me, when when they're recognized for the kind of things that we're doing, there are many, many women and men out there and other, so they get inspired to do a lot more. So I'm so happy to be here with you.
Absolutely. That's the whole objective, because the idea is, irrespective of whether there's an individual or a large organization, the intent is what is important, to be able to put our country on the road to sustainable development. And all initiatives really matter a lot. And we want to amplify the voices of people like Jyotika, essentially, so that she can be an inspiration to somebody maybe in a remote part of the country, or maybe any other part of the world, to be able to effect some amount of change within their circle of influence. So Jyotika, I'd like to first start and establish this fact that you have been a successful HR professional in professional career and journey. So what is it that inspired you, or maybe triggered you, if I can use the word, to be able to focus on hiring, specifically gender related to women who are marginalized, or maybe even to get the LGBTQI community to the forefront? So was there a particular incident or incidents that led you to this?
I think both, a couple of incidents, both while growing up as well as while working, Suparna. Everybody knows, our society is patriarchal. There is, a lot of, it's in a room full of men. It's very, very hard for a woman to be heard. And I'm not, it may sound very feminist and cliched, but that is the reality. We know that as in a society as well as in workplace, it's a lot of work that women and LGBTQI today are, or people with disabilities are, at every step of the ladder, there are more bottlenecks than ease of moving forward. And I think I've also, while, it's a very traditional household, I've also, grown up, in a very, very humble household. I've learned at every step of the ladder. I don't think when I was growing up, there was a lot of focus on the kind of education that I could have to make the world a better place. It was more to education that can help you get a job and to grow your skills in some way. Somewhere down the line, I think slowly, I it was a revelation that you have to invest in ourselves in order to be of use to the society. There has to be a bigger purpose that we all are born in. It cannot be just sort of making money and having a great job and having children and or whatever else that we sort of want to do. While I was doing very well at Airtel when I was working in HR, and but at the same time, like I said, there could be certain incidents where I felt that I was not being heard sometimes. But it was a great sort of innings. I think there was a point in my career where my daughter was born, and I was almost forced to take a back seat. And it was. At some point, I have a great mentor, Preeta. You know her also. You're working with her, I think, and she enabled my journey. She said you can work from home. At that time, work from home was not a norm. It wasn't normalized, but she allowed me to work from home, and I excelled. And then, of course, she moved on, and somebody else came in, and I was almost being forced to say that you have to show up every day. You have to show your face, and just because you're working from home, I wasn't given the promotions, etc. And I left, and I started this company. So it was more a forced decision for me to to start Helix. It wasn't something that came organically to me. So I think that for me, I wouldn't say discrimination, but at some point, it was a eye opener that why I was sort of forced to leave my job. And somewhere I think that was a trigger for me to do more on the inclusion spectrum. And of course, I mean, over a period of time, Nitin and me, we've always believed that we have to make a real contribution to the world. We have to, have conceptual intelligence to push towards, innovation, towards creativity, towards youth. And these came then, it just, like I said, we just kept moving forward. Yeah.
I think as many interactions that I've had with, especially with people who've been working in the impact space, I've noticed that it's always a challenge there. and they have managed to take on that challenge head on. It's not like they were born strong or they were born with, the know-how of how to handle it. But I think to begin with, the challenge obviously bogs all of us down. But the fact lies, or the winner or the change maker essentially is the one who can actually, hold the bull by its horns, quite literally, and then move on to the journey, taking it as an opportunity more than anything else to
Sure.
move forward and create something new. So kudos to that. But then also, I've noticed that you focus a lot through Helix itself, with women, or hiring women, or women
Yes.
who are marginalized. So
Yes.
is that also by design?
Yes. So when I started Helix, it was a platform for just hiring because that was the logical thing for me to start. And of course, there was a lot of training and sensitization. But a couple of years down the line, I realized that, just the same way that 23 million girls drop out of school every year, there is, when you hire men and women from MBA colleges or engineering colleges, it's the same proportion. But over a period of time, women keep dropping out, and right now we have only 11% who are at the top. And till the time we cannot make, we're not moving towards an inclusive society if there is not, all the voices are not heard. And that's when I started focusing on leadership development and hiring to promote workplace equity. So whether it's in management or boardroom representation, to diversity skill building, hiring of women, underprivileged girls. So at least 40 to 50% of our work is in that area. Of course, LGBTQI and people with disabilities is also a chunk, but it's not that big a chunk because of lack of education in this, with people with disabilities. So we are building capacity. We are expanding gender diversity on boards, on business leadership, and of course there is active engagement of women entrepreneurs, women who are coming from underprivileged sectors. There is focused hiring for enterprises, in fact, that are offering products or services that are substantially improving the lives of cisgender women or transgender or people with disabilities. So with that, of course, there is a lot of culture building also, but this is from the economic empowerment point of view. This is what we focus on.
You spoke about how the society is patriarchal in nature. So
Yeah.
I have a viewpoint on this.
Yeah.
I feel that anything that was put into place
Hmm.
was so that there is a structure that can be, followed through. Now,
Sure.
even if we were to replace this by matriarchal society, I think
Yeah.
we would, 2 years down the line, maybe, on the other end of the spectrum where we want to include maybe men, it becomes ultimately a power kind of a game. So I feel that the intent of putting a structure to running a society is not bad, but it's how the implementation is done. Similarly, on the other end of the spectrum is feminism, which is now a lot of times even women themselves shy away from being called a feminist because of the
Yes.
connotations of it. The actual meaning, of course, is equity for all genders, inclusivity of all genders. But
Yes. Yes.
because it's being perceived as, angry women
Yes.
and trying to be vocal about certain things and all of that. So I feel while the intent is right, it's the execution and the implementation
Absolutely.
somewhere or the other where the
Absolutely.
power play starts to happen, and that's where that rocks the boat.
Absolutely, Suparna. I think the important thing is, like I said, that I've always in my in the vision of the company is also when we put it out there, I talk about equal opportunity. And yes, you're very right. Look, sometimes there is a understanding that feminism or equality would mean men bashing or saying, we are better, or let's have more. Like, it's the same with reservations. That is reservation good or bad? Because there is also a thing of merit, and that would be the same here, that when you're promoting something like this, are you also in turn not focusing on merit? But what personally I feel, and I think we're trying to do, is it's a state of fairness when all individuals are treated similarly, so you're not hampered by artificial barriers or prejudices, or even whether you're hiring, or whether you're promoting, or whether you're giving opportunities for entrepreneurship, or even saying that, okay, I want to be home, but it's your choice that you're making, and that choice has to be with you. So I think that these particular distinctions, when they are they're sort of done away with. That is where I would feel that we would focus on. So the only thing is that we wouldn't want to look at favoring a workplace culture or a gender bias in any way, or gender pay gap, or a glass ceiling effect, or again, sexual harassment or discrimination. So these are the things that we are actively working on, not necessarily, like you said, in terms of, yes, sort of questioning the structure. If the structure is working, great, and it's a choice that you're making, good for you. It's
Yeah. So this, I think, I mean, hearing you talk so passionately about this, and while you may have started a for-profit venture
yeah,
through Helix, and then started
Yeah.
focusing on gender inclusivity and equity,
Yeah.
but I feel that then probably organically you also developed the We Diversify platform.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about more about the platform.
So, like you already know, it's We Diversify is a platform that is focusing on gender equality and equal opportunities. We are working extensively with women, with people with disabilities, with LGBTQI, both in the area of sensitization, and skill building and economic empowerment. And other than that, of course, with Nitin in Orion Square, I'm also working on the same focus area, but with youth. So we do a lot of work with youth, whether we work a lot with colleges across India, where they come to us for sensitization, to do projects around this. Of course, Orion Square focuses on other SDGs too, but my focus is on these two SDGs, which is equal opportunities and gender equality. And we help them get sensitized. We help them do a lot of case studies, do short films, do blogs around the same, so that there is a sensitization in society in general.
So I think I've also recently interacted with, I think your other co-awardee in the DEI sector,
Okay.
Lengit Samanta sector, Souvik
Right.
Saha, who runs the
Mhm.
Jamshedpur Queer Circle
Right.
in Jamshedpur. And
Right.
when I interacted with him, it was quite an eye-opener, because, see, there is one thing of, a part of the society is not open to the whole fact of this. How is it that people can be transitioning from one
Yeah.
sexual identity to the
Yeah.
other? That is one
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
But the more grievous aspect of this is that this non acceptance actually is leading to even suicides in the
Yeah.
youth,
Mhm.
with a kind of mental afflictions, with a kind of non acceptance, with a kind of the emotional turmoil that the young have to go through. I think
Hmm.
that's a hard fact that we cannot negate, or we cannot look away from,
Hmm.
irrespective of whatever the biases may be in the society. And we may require many years to get where we can accept everybody for who they are. But the fact that it is actually leading to loss of lives is something extremely alarming, that we all should kind of sit up, take notice, and do something proactive, which you are already doing with We Diversify. And if I were to ask you of some of the initiatives that you are undertaking with the youth, what would those be?
So, before I tell you that, Suparna, since you mentioned mental health, and, in terms of, yes, we personally had people, I've met people, especially from the underprivileged, area, where the lack of opportunity is, bringing them to a stage of very, very low self-esteem. So, which the same thing a guy is not going through, but a girl is going through. And these issues are very, very real, like, he would have mentioned. And I'm glad that you brought it up. In fact, so I'm doing my PhD, Suparna, and it's in the area of language as a barrier for growth of women in the corporate workplace specifically. And this is so it's called second generation gender bias. And what we found out, and my research is still going on at this point, is that while your policies are in place, just like in society, the government probably has extensive, policies which are inclusive and making sure jobs happen for everyone or financial inclusion is happening, but and same at the corporate workplace. But the implementation and the second generation gender bias is so strong that language is becoming a aggressive, so it's a microaggression towards women and other genders and other people with disabilities. So you may say that I want to do the right thing, but you're not doing it, and you're not doing it in a very subtle way, and it doesn't come across as discrimination, but it is completely there. So in my experience, and I'm saying that I'm giving you a very simple example, a lot of times corporates would tell me that this is a diversity profile and we'd like you to present to us this kind of profile. But when you finally the team does, they say, oh, but she's not going to be able to do the sales, but she's not going to be put in the extra amount of hours. So which is trying to sort of say that only a man can. So vision is equal to man and culture is equal to women. So these kind of languages, when they are used, it becomes a form of discrimination. So when you're sitting in the promotion and you say, I don't see you strong enough, it is equivalent to maybe, and I'm not saying all the time, but these are very common, and especially you and me are people who are vocal, who are able to put their thoughts across very articulately. And there are a lot of people out there who are not able to even put coherent, a sentence properly, and not able to put their thoughts across. And that's something, again, we are working on very strongly with the underprivileged. Then how do you put yourself out there? How are you networking? How are you expressing that this doesn't work for me, or this works for me, or I'd like to work from home for 2 weeks because of so and so. So these are also some of the initiatives coming. So I'm sorry, I got completely distracted. So coming back to some of the initiatives, like I've already sort of shared with you, there are 2-3 very strong areas that we work on. One is, of course, the economic empowerment, which is hiring and skill building and ensuring that there is a financial inclusion that happens. The other is building an inclusive culture. So there is a lot of trainings, panel discussions, guest lectures, advocacy that happens. The third is, of course, engaging with youth. That we do, which is basically kindling the desire to make a social impact in the community. So through the journey, students are engaging with socioeconomic realities and local change agents for inclusion per se. And the fourth is, of course, which is part of my research, which is around language as a second generation gender bias, which I was talking about, and which is hindering. So we are involving a lot of role models, investors. In fact, yeah, that is one of the other initiatives that which I read recently, that according to a McKinsey study, that closing the gender gap itself could add $28 trillion to the economy, to the global GDP. And so we are trying to bring together also PE funds and VCs to focus on investment in women entrepreneurs. So yeah,
Sure.
These are the things that we're doing.
Yeah. So if somebody who's listening to you now or in the near future, and they would want to align or contribute or volunteer, how can they do that?
So we are constantly looking for trainers who sensitize corporates or others, other areas that we work on for gender inclusion, inclusion and diversity. We are also looking for always volunteers to work with the youth. For us, also people who can work with skill building on, for instance, with people with autism, people with neuro disabilities, people with physical disabilities, people with acid victim survivors and others. So there are a lot of like people that we work with who help us in making sure that they are more employable. So these are some of the things that specifically that we are always looking to collaborate on. Of course, other than that, there is always volunteer work, which is more coordination and administration. But specifically, these are areas that we always look for synergies in.
So if there is somebody who would like to reach out to you, how can they do that? Maybe you can share your website, and maybe we can post a link for that as well.
Sure. So we are at vdiversify.org. That's the link. And we are also at the email info@vdiversify.org or info@helix-hr.com.
And to sum up this interaction, if you were to say something that has been your motto, or something that you can share with the youth, or something that can inspire somebody to be on this path as well, what would that be?
Well, my daughter also, Nandini, and I remember you said that's your daughter cheering in the crowd and the award that we got. I tell her, and I tell a lot of now other people, women, that it's don't shrink yourself. I think it's not about. Sometimes people say that find your voice, but I don't think it's always about finding your voice. I think it's using it in the right way so that others can get inspired to become more phenomenal, or at least do what they can do. There are a lot of times I have felt helpless or alone or discriminated, and all of us have, and I'm not saying men and women, both, all of us have. But you'll have to find that strength and fearlessness to sort of go on. I think today we live in a world where everything is changing at a rapid pace, where business models change, pivot, opportunities are immense. But so if you are not able to find a support system, or you're not able to crack the way forward, I think be patient and give yourself a timeline. So just find a path that's right for you.
Thank
That's
you
what I would
so
say.
much, Jyotika, for taking the time and for the
Yeah.
path that you have chosen and created, not just impacting from a philanthropic perspective, but also aligning this with the way you make money. I don't see any
Yes.
problem with that as well,
Yes.
because if we can align our professions in the righteous way, I
Yes.
think that can be an answer to a whole lot of problems, a
Absolutely.
solution to a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Jyotika, for taking the time.
Thank you, Suparna. Thank you so much. Lovely catching up with you. Thank you.